All right, let's start with the offense, because this one began and ended with Dak playing like the guy you pay to deliver on nights like this. You saw it in the box score: efficient completions, aggressive downfield throws, and real rhythm that hadn't been there the previous 2 weeks. The stat line in Vegas, high completion rate, multiple touchdowns, and 0 turnovers, was exactly the kind of calm, decisive game Dak needed to shake off the clunk from earlier games. What made it click was twofold. First, the offense got early down success and avoided too many obvious long down situations. Second, when the play called for it, they trusted Pickens and let him do damage over the middle. George Pickens tonight was a revelation. His ability to convert 10 19-yard targets into big YAC was elite. When you're routinely getting nearly 10 yards after the catch on intermediate throws, defenses have to start accounting for him everywhere, and that opens so many windows for Prescott to hit. Slants and dig routes between the numbers. CeeDee Lamb was fine. Not the monster Pickens was, but he did his job, found space, and produced when called on. Yes, there was that fourth down drop that gets talked about, but that isn't the sum of his night or his value to the offense. Javonte Williams gave the Cowboys steadiness on the ground. 20-plus carries, consistent inside zone gains, and enough of a threat to keep the Raiders honest. It wasn't an explosive running day, but it was stable and fundamental. Exactly what you want to complement a hot passing game. The offensive line, after a shaky start, highlighted by that sack-fumble concern, adjusted well. They mixed chips, tight end help, and slide protections to slow down Max Crosby and giving Dak cleaner pockets later in the game. The real difference, though, was red zone execution. After an ugly stretch earlier in the season, the Cowboys punched it in more efficiently in short fields, converting the looks they needed inside the 10 to touchdowns instead of settling for field goals. That balance, efficient passing, steady run, and smart red zone play calling, is how you turn a good win into a confidence driver. Quick engagement. Vote in the poll. Was Dak's game versus the Raiders his best of the season? Yes or no? Also, smash the like button if you want more breakdowns like this, and please subscribe to help us hit 17,000. Every new subscriber gets us closer to better coverage, deeper breakdowns, and more videos like this. Drop one word in the comments now. Pickens or Dak? Who was your MVP of this game? Let's zero in on the wideouts, because this game was really where you saw the offense open up. George Pickens wasn't just good, he was electric. 9 catches for 144 yards, and a touchdown is the flashy part. But what really changes games is his YAC on intermediate targets. On throws between 10-19 yards, he was gaining nearly 10 extra yards after the catch. That's the kind of separation and run after contact ability that forces defensive coordinators to adjust their entire scheme. When Pickens is doing that, you're not just getting a single-play gain. You're getting sustained field-flipping potential on every intermediate route he runs. It explains why Dak kept finding him over the middle on slants and digs. Those are high-value throws when the receiver turns short to intermediate completions into 20-30-yard plays. Teams can plan for a downfield threat, but dealing with someone who eats space after the catch makes play calling much more dangerous for opponents. CeeDee Lamb's night looked quieter by comparison. 5 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown, but don't sleep on the value of what he did. Outside of that late fourth down drop, Lamb gave you the contested catches, the route running that opens things up, and the veteran presence that helps you move the chains when Pickens isn't the primary option. The bigger point for you as a fan is this: having 2 legit number 1 receivers is a luxury problem. It means some weeks one of them explodes while the other plays a support role. The offense should flow to the hot hand, not force a narrative that one guy must always be primary. Tonight, they let Pickens cook when he had the matchup advantage, and Lamb did what he needed to do when his number was called. How they handle this balance going forward is massive. Do you keep scheming to get both involved as much as possible, or do you ride whoever's hottest each week? The smarter, Move is to design plays that create favorable matchups for both while giving Dak clear reads. That's what makes this pairing so dangerous long-term. Quick engagement for you. In the comments, tell me who you'd trust on a 3rd and 10, Pickens or Lamb. Hit like if you want more WR breakdowns, and please subscribe to help us hit 17,000. Every subscriber helps us keep producing deep dives like this. All right, let's talk about something that might not get the same headlines as Dak or Pickens, but absolutely change the rhythm of this game, the run game and the big guys up front, because for the first time in weeks, you could actually feel the Cowboys dictating pace instead of reacting to it. Let's be honest, there wasn't a single wow run that made the highlights. No 45-yard breakaway, no Marshawn Lynch moment. But the ground game did something even more important. It stayed efficient. When your running backs are consistently picking up 4 to 6 yards on early downs, it changes everything. It keeps the defense honest, it opens up the play action, and it lets your QB stay in rhythm instead of constantly facing 3rd and long. And this is where the offensive line deserves a ton of respect. This unit has taken its share of criticism this year: injuries, inconsistency, protection lapses. We've talked about all of it. But against the Raiders, they handled business. They didn't dominate every snap, but they were physical, they created lanes, and most importantly, they protected Dak long enough for him to work through the progressions and hit those intermediate routes to Pickens. It's the combination of clean pockets plus a steady run game that made this offense look functional again. When the O-line collapses, the playbook shrinks. But when they hold up like they did in this game, suddenly the full menu is available. Deep shots, crossers, misdirection, play action, everything. Now, let's talk play calling. This was one of the cleaner, more balanced games we've seen recently. They didn't abandon the run too early, they didn't force-feed anyone, and they let the matchups dictate the attack. When Pickens was hot, they leaned into it. When the Raiders started backing off, they hit the underneath stuff and kept the chains moving. But here's the real question going forward. Is this sustainable? Can this O-line keep stacking solid performances? Because if they do, this offense suddenly becomes a lot more dangerous than people realize. It's not about rushing for 180 yards. It's about threatening the run just enough to unlock everything else. Quick interaction. Drop a comment. Yes. If you think the O-line can sustain this momentum, no, if you're still worried about the consistency. And don't forget to subscribe so we can hit our goal of 17,000 supporters. It really helps the channel grow. Now let's shift to the side of the ball that had fans going back and forth all night. The defense. Because this game was a perfect example of why this unit can look dominant for long stretches and then suddenly give up chunk plays that make you pull your hair out. First, the good. The pressure showed up. The front seven actually dictated snaps early, collapsing the pocket and forcing the Raiders into rushed throws and off-platform decisions. When this Cowboys defense is flying around up front, you can feel the momentum shift instantly. And even though they didn't stack up a massive sack total, they did what matters most. They affected the quarterback. Pressures force bad reads, bad throws, and force offenses into predictable situations. And that leads us to maybe the biggest positive of the night, the takeaways. Getting the defense back into that mindset, attacking the ball, finishing plays, changes everything. It gives the offense extra possessions, gives your team shorter fields, and honestly, it brings the energy back to the sideline. When this defense is taking the ball away, they're dangerous. When they're not, they look average. It's that simple. But let's be real. The problems were still there. The explosive plays given up in the second half were completely avoidable. Missed tackles, late rotations, and a couple of breakdowns in coverage let the Raiders back into the game when Dallas should have been stepping on the gas. And this is where Matt Eberflus's group needs to keep evolving. His system works best when everyone is playing fast and disciplined. But if even one guy misses an assignment, the whole thing cracks open. The biggest question fans should be asking isn't, can this defense make plays? Because clearly they can. It's, Can they avoid the drive-killing, momentum-breaking mistakes in big moments? That's what separates good defenses from championship defenses. And right now, Dallas is still somewhere in the middle of that journey. But here's the upside. You saw enough flashes to believe that, with cleaner execution, this group can tilt games. The front seven looks energized. The secondary, when aligned properly, can take the ball away. The pieces are there. The consistency is what has to develop. Quick fan check-in. Do you think this defense can tighten up before the next matchup? Comment, tighten up if yes, or not yet if you need to see more. And remember, hit like and subscribe so we can reach 17,000 supporters. Your support keeps these deep dives rolling. All right, let's bring it home. Because this wasn't just another primetime game, this was a measuring stick, a momentum game. A who are you really kind of moment for the Dallas Cowboys. And what we saw was a team that finally looked like it could steady the ship, even if the waters are still choppy. Offensively, this was the cleanest identity we've seen in weeks. Dak played with command. Pickens showed you exactly why the front office brought him in. Someone who can take over a game and stretch defenses in ways few receivers can. Lamb didn't need to dominate to matter, and the run game did its job without trying to be something it's not. Combine that with an O-line that held together and a play caller who understood the flow of the game, and suddenly the offense feels balanced again. Defensively, the story is a little different. Flashes of dominance mixed with moments of vulnerability. The pressure was there, the takeaways were huge, but the discipline, still a work in progress. And if this team is going to make a real run, that's the part that has to tighten up the fastest. You can't give away easy explosives and expect to survive against elite offenses down the stretch. So what does this win really mean? It means you're seeing the blueprint. Not perfection, not a finished product, but enough structure, enough identity, and enough star playmaking to believe the Cowboys can build upward from here. It's proof that when they play balanced football, they can control games. It's proof that Dak doesn't need to be Superman. He just needs time and a rhythm. And it's proof that on both sides of the ball, the pieces are finally starting to click. But let's keep it real. This team still has questions to answer. Can the O-line stay healthy enough to keep this momentum? Can Eberflus get the defense aligned and disciplined consistently? Can the offense avoid going cold for long stretches? Those are the things that will determine whether this win becomes a turning point or just a highlight. Now, I want to hear from you. After watching this performance, do you feel more confident or still cautious about where this team is heading? Drop confident or cautious in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and help us reach our goal of 17,000 subscribers. Every one of you makes a massive difference.